Are the Bears interested in hiring head coach Jim Harbaugh? Rumors are circulating and reports have surfaced that the Bears have had conversations about possibly hiring Jim Harbaugh if they decide to move on from Matt Eberflus. Today I wanted to discuss those rumors and give my thoughts on Jim Harbaugh, whether or not I think he returns to the NFL, and if he would be a good fit with the Chicago Bears. Let's get right into it. First off, let's talk about the report. I don't think Ryan Poles is telling anyone if they've talked about Jim Harbaugh, so to me the report is speculation and just a reporter's opinion, but it is interesting and good to hear us connected with a big coaching name. Jim Harbaugh is a very well-respected head coach who has deep ties and roots to Chicago. He played quarterback here and values his time with the organization. I think Harbaugh would be interested in coaching the Bears. So then the next question becomes, is Jim Harbaugh interested in coming back to the NFL? I do think he wants to win a championship at Michigan. I think beating Georgia or Alabama in a playoff game is a tough task, though, and he might realize he's outmanned. We'll see what happens this year in the playoffs, but well-respected ESPN reporter Jeremy Fowler has said he thinks Jim Harbaugh is interested in returning to the NFL and that multiple teams should be interested. College football insider Bruce Feldman also said he doesn't expect Harbaugh to be back at Michigan next season, and a lot of people are now expecting him to make a return to the NFL. First things first, Jim Harbaugh is a great football coach. He's had success everywhere he's been. He had success at Stanford before coming to the NFL and going 44-19 as a head coach for the San Francisco 49ers. What's he done since then? He returned Michigan to glory, taking them to the college football playoffs in what should be back-to-back seasons and beating Ohio State. He's a winner. He's also been involved in a scandal involving stealing signs and reportedly could want a lot of personnel control wherever he goes in the NFL. Would Ryan Poles be okay with that? Do the Bears want a guy like that as a head coach? There are a lot of real legitimate questions here that none of us know the answer to. And then there's the Matt Eberflus conundrum as well. I've made it clear that I'm out on Luke Getsy at this point, but I have some confidence in Eberflus, and I'm not sure the team wants to fire him at the end of the year. I do think that's dependent on this team continuing to play well these next 6 games, but what I've seen on tape is this defense and team fighting hard for Flus. But then next up we have to wonder, does the hits principle even work? Is Eberflus the guy? I don't know, but I do know that Jim Harbaugh is a great coach. He's also the only successful college coach that has a track record in the NFL and is a proven winner. He's proven that he can win at this level. It's something that most coaches coming from the college ranks struggle with, even Nick Saban and Urban Meyer. The biggest question for me is, will Harbaugh work with Ryan Poles and how his coaching style still works in the NFL? I've always thought he was better suited for college coaching. He has a tough, passionate, and intense coaching style that sometimes doesn't mesh well with diva-type players in the NFL. But then again, I think that fits perfectly here in Chicago. A no-nonsense type like Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. We love the blue-collar work ethic, and I think Harbaugh would fit in great in Chicago. He's also connected to Kevin Warren. They know each other from their time in the Big Ten. Harbaugh would be the biggest coaching hire we've had this century. He also has so many connections throughout the NFL and college football that I think he'd be able to bring in some big-time coordinators as well. People have already rumored that he could potentially bring in Greg Roman as offensive coordinator and Wink Martindale as defensive coordinator, and then he'd probably also bring some guys from Michigan. That's a very understated part of this. We're used to hiring inexperienced head coaches and getting these first-time play callers, first-time defensive coordinator, first-time offensive coordinator. If we were to hire Jim Harbaugh, he's most likely going to hire experienced and well-respected coordinators that I think would just simply make this team better. Harbaugh has deep connections, more than most people even realize, and I think his potential for bringing in big-time coordinators and even smaller coaches could really help this team out if they decide to move on from Eberflus. There are a lot of things here that are just too perfect with Jim Harbaugh as a fit in Chicago. I honestly think it would be a home run hire. It's not without risk, though. He's been out of the NFL for a long time, and he has a volatile personality, but he is an offensive head coach. He's called plays successfully in the NFL and in college. He's also won everywhere he's been. He's a former quarterback, and more importantly, a former Chicago Bears quarterback who knows what it would mean to win here and knows the pressure of playing quarterback in this city and winning in Chicago. So the bottom line is yes, I would love to have Jim Harbaugh here coaching the Bears. It would be wildly entertaining, and I think he would win football games, which is what we all really want. But back to reality, I don't personally think it'll happen. I think Matt Eberflus is still the head coach for the Bears when 2024 hits. I also wanted to address another question with Matt Eberflus. A lot of people have floated the idea of keeping Flus as defensive coordinator and then bringing in a head coach. Let me squash that one, guys. It's not going to happen. These guys have egos that are too big for that, and it's just never happened in NFL history. If Eberflus sticks around, it will be his head coach. And the decision is going to come down to first whether or not they fire Eberflus, but Jim Harbaugh would be a great candidate to replace him if we did, and I would love it if he was our head coach. I don't think he should have any personnel control in the front office, though. That's Ryan Poles' job, and Poles has proven he's willing to work with head coaches like he has with Eberflus and draft what they need. Just look what he's done so far in 2 years with Eberflus. So just as long as Jim Harbaugh would work with Ryan Poles, I think it would be a home run hire. But realistically, if he does come back to the NFL, I think he probably ends up somewhere other than Chicago with a team that's willing to give him more personnel control. There's a lot to this one, but he is a great head coach. I thought this was a perfect opportunity to give my thoughts on Jim Harbaugh and whether or not I thought he'd be a good fit to coach the Chicago Bears. I've had a lot of people asking me that question recently, and with the rumors circulating about Harbaugh right now, I thought this was a great time to address the situation with the video, but I also wanted to dig deeper and give a full take here without just talking about the rumor that was floating around. I think at the end of the day, we probably keep Eberflus and bring in a new offensive coordinator. But if we do move on from Flus, Jim Harbaugh is a guy I'd love to see coaching the Chicago Bears. Bottom line, he's a great head coach. I know a lot of other people do not feel this way though, so let me know in the comments what you think. Remember to hit that like button for me. Stay tuned, and until next time, bear down.
Swifty in the house!